Hi, everyone. Whoops, just a minute. Hi, everyone. This is Lori Anderson. I'm with Alexander Art, and I want to welcome you tonight. Every time I hear the countdown music kick in, my heart starts to beat just a little bit faster, and it's just so exciting to be here with you. It's so exciting to bring these programs to you, and I just want to congratulate all of you that painted along with Tom on Solitary Majesty. You guys did a beautiful job, and we're excited to see the videos tonight of Tom's review. So we're going to get to that in a little while, and I just kind of want to let you know how the evening's going to go. We're going to start out with Tom is in the house. However, he won't be on. You won't see him until after we show the video with the reviews. We've pre-recorded it because Tom can't do these live because he can't control my screen online. So we're going to go ahead and play the video. It's about 43 minutes long, I believe. And you'll get to see Tom review each person's painting, and it'll be compared to his. And so we'll start with that. And meanwhile, in the chat, feel free to talk in the chat. We love to see the comments. Please make sure you let us know where you're from, and let us know who you are and where you're from. We always love to know, but feel free to chat along. You will hear the five that we selected. You will hear who they are as Tom paints, or doesn't paint. He reviews each one of them. So as you go along, you'll find out whose painting it is. So then we have a wonderful surprise for you at the end. After we watch the video, Tom's going to come on and he's going to answer any questions that you might have about the project or about painting in general. So we'll have a Q&A at the end, and then I've got a surprise after that. So with that, we will go ahead and I'll share the video, and like I said, feel free to chat it up in the chat area. It's always fun to see the comments. We really appreciate that. So with that in mind, I'm going to do it a different way. If you've been on in the last couple times, we've had trouble with videos, but I believe we've got the problem solved. So I will we'll see if I really do. So here we go.
Oh, Brooke, you've done a great job. This is Tom Anderson speaking, and I love it. Man, I love the sky up here. I love the way you did your clouds. It looks to me, just overall, that you've done a few paintings. So your mountain structure is really nice. Let me stop right here at this point. If you just take your small liner brush and put a little bit of extra white right at the tip of this mountain, that will finalize that mountain area. Because, if you have a lot of snow here, you might just get a little bit more the higher up you go because it's colder. So think about that. Okay, I love the way you kept this light and fumato back here. I did that deliberately. Sometimes you see a really sharp edge like this going out, and then it really softens way out here. But I wanted it to look misty, so that looks beautiful. You did a great job. You know how to do this underneath here, so it looks like you really made that nice and misty down here. So what we have is the reason why you always blend out the bottom of everything at the bottom, because it makes the next thing in front of it look even more dramatic. So you've done a great job on this. Let's see. You could, if you wanted to, when your paint's dry, or if it's sort of semi-tacky and you're halfway into this and drying, you can even go back and add some white in here and make it a little bit more misty, and it'll give another dimension. If you look over at mine, it's a little bit lighter down at the bottom. That shows more atmosphere. But I mean, overall, you could still just leave it It's nice and light blue. You could add a little tiny bit of white in there, rub it in a little bit. You can even use your finger to do it when it dries. It's beautiful. Did a great job. This tree is leaning just a little bit, but you know, nature is the way it is. Your interpretation is good. I like it. I do want to point out one thing though. When you're far away, I want you to try to remember this. When you're far away, things are much more vertical or horizontal. So if you have trees that are a little bit further away, sometimes it's good in this mid region, right in here, to make the trees look more vertical if you can. Remember on the video how I was saying, well, that might be leaning because I'm way off to the side. Well, I was really trying to make sure that it, you know, it didn't lean too much. Because so it draws your attention there. And here's what I mean by that. You have two objects on this side that are doing exactly the same movement. This tree is leaning to the right, and this tree in the front is leaning to the right. So what it does visually, when you look at it, it pulls your attention here instead of back here more. So I'm going to jump over to this one and watch mine. Because I left this just a little more vertical at the top, and this one kind of bends just slightly in this way, it kind of pulls your attention to the mountain. I just want you to keep that thought in mind. Now this one does exactly what it should do. It leans a little bit, forcing your eye down this way. So you could either have this one straight or let it lean in, but you probably don't want to let it go that way, because then it's just like, you know, it's not drawing your attention down to the mountain. That's why these trees are always higher here, pulling you down into the atmosphere. And when you have trees that are straight up and down or kind of just slightly leaning in, it pulls your attention down that way. It's called architectonics. Your colors are great. You've done a great job on that. This little road area that Bill used to do down here is something that I found myself having a little difficult time in the very beginning when I was learning to paint, how to make that happen. So I could see why you took artistic license down here and didn't do much of a palette knife. It is a little weird, a little tricky, but overall, when it's done, it looks kind of cool. Bill did that quite a few paintings. You were in the palette knife down on that ground. Okay, this is all really good though. I mean, I really get a good feeling on this. The colors are great, everything. But I want you to look at this tree right here and that one. This is called the Bobson twins. And I had to learn this a long time ago. If you notice over here, this one's a little higher, this is a little lower, and that's a little lower. We call that the pyramid. So the pyramid kind of makes you think about weight and balance. So if you look at these, they're pretty even across. If you bring this one up, this yellow one up a little higher, you'll get a semi-pyramid shape here, and that'll just nail it. That'll look really good. So that's why trees that are high here, when you come down, let's do this. When you come down, they have sort of a pyramidal shape. The whole area is in a cluster of pyramid. So what it does is it creates a lot of balance here. If your pyramid is leaning, then it's like this. You see, if I draw that architectonically, I draw that line, and then your pyramid is leaning, and it looks like it's somebody's trying to jack it up with a car jack and then let it fall over. And I'm not being critical to you. What I'm trying to do is give you some of these architectonic laws. You've done great work. I can see that you've painted before. So I'm trying to help you to see these architectonic laws. This is what we start opening up in the master class and the beyond class. We're trying to get everyone to get these laws that have been laid down since Brunelleschi and Leonardo da Vinci wrote about them in his notebooks and stuff. And Bill Alexander knew these because of all the time he spent in art. He had this down pat. So I'm just trying to open that door for you, okay? Now, let's talk about highlighting. When this paint is set a little bit longer, You can go back, and red is a really difficult color to get on green. So if you remember in the video, I got a little bit more red in here, a little bit more orange, because I laid all that blue down. So blue in that tree area really does capture that red a little bit easier. So I had a lot of blue down here, and that helped it too. So if you don't put a lot of blue down in the green, then what happens is when you touch it, that red sort of gives off more of a brown look because it dips into the green and start on your palette, it would look brown. But if you touch red on blue, you can preserve it a little longer, but then it will turn violet. And that wouldn't be so bad. So that's just a little tip for you. Now, when the paint starts to semi-dry, you can go back and start tapping a little bit of highlight here. Like, that's a very difficult thing to do, what I did, putting that highlight on immediately. Sometimes you can do it with magic white and yellow. Sometimes you can do it with a little bit of magic white and the thick white and then the yellow. It gives you sort of a hybrid. So it's not as thick, but it goes on easier because a thinner paint will go on a thicker paint. So let's get out of this area. If you want to go back and do anything there, I would hit that mountain with white. I put a little bit of white down here. I would hit the red again and make some orange if you want and re-highlight these and just kind of pump it up a little bit. I would straighten this tree up. You could take your palette knife and you could literally go in and make a line of that tan color and make the tree just a tiny bit higher and go back and forth and you'll have that tree balanced out perfectly. Now, how do we fix this one? Well, if you look over, you're not in bad shape because these two trees are almost equal in thickness. So one tree that's closer would look thicker regardless. So if we just go back and take the same color you made and draw right down like that and just keep going, you'll make it look much more straight. And so what you do is you have a thicker tree here, a thinner one there, creating more depth, and then you'll be in good shape and re-highlight some light down here. Put a little more blue down here and blue on the back of the tree. Just take a little bit of your thick paint, thick titanium white, and a little bit of phthalo blue or any blue you have, ultramarine, and just tap that back there and you'll get a nice reflective light and put a little bit down here. And you should be in pretty good shape. Overall, it's a great painting. It just needs a tiny little bit of tweaking. I think you're on your way. And if you get a chance, go ahead and look at our masterclass. There's some really good progression paintings in there that'll get you to a level where you never thought you'd ever get to. Trust me on this. We've done this with hundreds of people, maybe thousands eventually. Oh, wait, if I do my art classes that I had in my store, it would be thousands. But on Lori's site, we're opening the door for everybody with my art program. So check out our masterclass. Ask Don and Lori for some questions. Because all I really want to do is, you have so much talent. All I want to do is help you. I want to help you get where you want to be, even better. Thank you very much. You did a great job, though. That's beautiful. That mountain really screams success. Oh, one more thing. You did move that mountain over. That helps with the depth a ton. So that's awesome. All right, Harold, on a roll. Harold's on a roll. Let me describe to you what I see here that looks really, really good. I'm very impressed. You moved the mountain over. You have your gray blue in the background sky, and I love your clouds. So I can tell right off you've done some painting. Just those clouds alone show me a sign of being able to do things. And your tree, that helps it too. And the mountain has a really good shape to it. Now, what takes my attention off of this painting are a couple of things in the upper third of the painting. Even though it's done really, really nicely, I want to help you refine it. So I want you to think of it in thirds. Here's a third, here's a third, and the bottom is a third. So let's work the top third. The mountain's been moved over, fantastic. One thing about this tree is that it sort of takes away from the majesty of the mountain, which is beautiful, by the way. So what I would do is I would take my palette knife, if it's dry, kind of scrape the tree down just a little bit, go back and add a little bit more of the mountain in here, okay? And fog it up at the bottom, and then add the tree in ever so slightly, just a little smaller. And what that'll do is give the majesty of that mountain back there. I know the emphasis isn't necessarily on the mountain, but you did such a good job on it. I personally would preserve it. So if you do something really good, preserve that, okay? Now, when I look at this and I see that tree, and these are great, you got them in gray, blue sometimes is good, gray, blue, green, everything gray is far away. So you could have purple gray, green gray, blue gray, all those gray colors that are muted down look really great. So it creates a lot of atmosphere and light back here. What I want you to do is take your liner brush or a good chiseled fan brush and bring the top of this tree up and out of the page. It'll just look better. Because I know you can see trees break off like that, but in this painting, the reason for it being higher is it pulls you into this area a little bit more instead of just stopping. So if you do that, that'll really increase the look that you're more in the foreground looking into the painting. This sort of cuts off the framing process. So this tree is really nice. That tree's really nice. Your tree trunk, if you want, you can take your liner brush, go in and redraw it and put a few lights on it. You got a good angle here. Now you got brave and used the palette knife. I love it. I love what you did here. Sometimes if you were watching the video, how I sort of skimmed over it real softly, and then I took and did a dry knife on it and made it even softer. Okay, but this looks cool. This is sort of in the range between a Bill Alexander and mine. Mine's a little softer than Bill's, so you're kind of like a little closer, but not as soft. So it's a range. And I said, whatever you do in this painting, go ahead and make it look like your own. So you did that. Colors are fantastic. It's really vivid, really pops at you. What I want you to do is watch this, okay? The blue tree is good. I'd leave that. But the other tree is kind of like equal with it. And what we do in art, every time we do something in art, we create pyramids everywhere. So you did good on this. Look, see, that's high and low. You could even manage to go a little lower, give the mountain majesty, right? And still make that pyramidal shape look like it's there. If you think about it, the pyramid is here, Harold. Look, if you think about it, it's there. The mountain's a pyramid. The tree going out behind the tree, pyramid. Pyramid here, pyramid there. I don't know if these are called architectonic laws. They give weight to the painting. So when I did this little bush up in the front, I purposely did it, and Bill did it, because it creates a pyramid. Look, it's a natural instinct for artists who've painted for years to give it a pyramidal shape everywhere. So you have your pyramid here, but it's kind of squeezed off the page. I would actually bring this foliage up a little higher, overlap it, and bring that red up. It's kind of pretty. I like that red. Bring it up and pyramid that out like that. And boy, will you be a happy camper. Does that make sense? Because you cut it off here, and this is a non-issue in this area. You really want to kind of be here and then looking back this way. Where does that road go? Kind of a mystery, actually. Okay, so I would personally bring the red up with a little more orange in it, and I would just let that be a little higher. And then you'd have your pyramids. So you've got them all over the place. Now, I don't even know if you thought about that, but if you ever look at a Bill Alexander painting, there's pyramids everywhere. But if you look at a Da Vinci painting, it's the same thing. Harold, if you ever saw the Mona Lisa, here would be the three levels. 1, 2, 3. The Mona Lisa's in a pyramid. Behind her are pyramids of mountains, okay? Just think about that for a second. Okay. It's mind blowing, but it's everywhere in art. It's all over the place. So you've got most of the pyramids, but you need to think about a few others. Beautiful job, though. This is great. If you want to re-highlight a little bit on here, I always try to highlight sometimes. If I'm not doing a shorter program, I'll go back with a little extra yellow here and pop in a little bit back up here. You know, this is great. You did it. Did you see that? See a highlight on the tree? That's a Bill move. That's a Rembrandt move. That's a Velasquez move. That's a Caravaggio move. Think about what I'm saying. You have it here too. So you went the extra step. That just caught my eye. When I went here, I went, where's my light? I'd like to make that lighter. Boom, you did it. Good job, Harold. You are a couple of those little tweaks and you'll be in great shape. And now that I've told you all this, everything I'm telling you, just a small fraction of what's being taught in the master class. And then you move on to the beyond class. But that master class, all of those elements from beginning to intermediate to the advanced stage will open the door for so much you won't even believe it. Your knowledge is going to be so increased, it'll be phenomenal. You won't even believe it. So I just have to throw it out there. Did we forget the blue down here on the back? Just a little bit more blue would probably make it better. Balance it out. And then down on the shadow on the ground. So there you go. Think about the master class, because everything I just told you now is only a fraction of what we're going to expose that you'll find out about. And then your ability to paint as well as you do will be even greater. So good that you won't believe it. I guarantee it. I've done it for years. I mean, the proof is always in the pudding, right? Thanks, Harold. Great job. All right, Cynthia, very nice. I love it. I love your sky. I love the light behind the mountain. That's a great thing. Now, if you want to make this mountain look just a little more dramatic and make it come just a little bit, a tiny little bit of light, not dark gray, but a kind of a light gray behind here would make like this right in here. Just a little bit more will make the mountain kind of pop out a little bit more against the light. So if you look over here, that little extra dark, just a slight degree darker. You have it here. You could put it right behind here just a little bit and right behind there. And that will help it. Okay. So you got your mountain up here. When you get into these tree branches, if this is dry, you can take a pencil and draw out your branch a little smaller and then take a liner brush and go real slow over it. And that'll help you make that little pointy shapes out at the end. See where your branches are being cut off and they're not quite as thin? Try a pencil on there when it's dry and draw it and then paint right over that pencil. You can do it. I'd even add a few more branches right here. And I like what Bill did. He brought these leaves into the picture on the outside. It kind of finalized it, made it look more like, okay, look guys, that tree is kind of barren and this one's barren. I don't know why, but they are. But yeah, the lively trees coming on the side kind of help you pull it into the picture. So if you bring this up higher, draw it with a pencil. You can use charcoal if you want, a little bit of charcoal, very charcoal pencil. And then draw in your leaves a little bit there and put in some green gray leaves. You'll be in business. Okay, now that is going to help the painting a lot more. The tree here could use a little more light on it, okay? Love your oranges. You love orange. You love the fall colors. I can see that. I can see your expression down here. It's a beautiful idea. Now, these trees in the back, the gray back here, if you want to take your white and kind of blend it in, even with your finger if you want, or a real stiff brush, blend it in real lightly and kind of roll it around, make it foggier like it is here. and then come in and make a few more gray trees a little bit darker. But I want you to think about this when you do it, okay? If you look over here, the tree here is very high. It's high. It didn't take all the mountain out, but it's high and it has a pyramidal shape. You see that? So does this one over here. So does these trees have a pyramidal shape. This is a giant pyramidal cluster right here. So I want you to think that way. There's the pyramid right there. This is not quite there. You kind of lost a few more gray trees down here, down there, and then that would create a pyramid. This would be a pyramid. This could be a pyramid. So that's why we want this out. And then this could be in a pyramid shape going off the page. So think about that when you get to that point. I see you tried it, but it faded away. It's kind of gone. So maybe re-wet this with some white and go over with a little darker gray and then a few small gray ones and keep them atmospheric down here. Blend that out with your finger and some white and you'll have your pyramidal shape there and it'll look really cool. I love these oranges. Now your trunk of your tree is mine was leaning this way a little bit. I tried to straighten it out and sitting off to the side. But if you can find the top of this tree and go straight down, take your palette knife with a little tan color on it and tap it down like this. If you get right in front of it, hold it with two hands, the palette knife, if you have to. And then you should have it. And I would spark this up with a lighter tan. See this tan color on the ground right there? Spark it up a little bit brighter. Okay? And then maybe highlight this orange up here a little bit more. Because look, this is a pyramid in front too. Look, you see that? We got them all over the place. Bill did pyramids everywhere on the palette. The canvas. They're all over the canvas because it actually creates depth and dimension. And if you think about the Mona Lisa, and I know you're going to think about it now, here's the third pop and the middle. So the Mona Lisa's in a pyramid and the mountains behind her are in pyramids. Just think that way. Always think of Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa when you're painting. That's a good plan, actually, in your mind. Stabilize that in your mind. And you're always thinking of everything you paint has the Mona Lisa concept, even if it's the lights coming from the right or the left. And you did good by moving the mountain over to the left, because if it's square centered, we lose it. I made a big deal of that on camera, didn't I? I think I did, because it gave a spatial atmosphere. Beautiful job, Cynthia. Good job. I'm so proud you came here. Check out our masterclass. Our masterclass is a beautiful program. It's affordable. It actually can get you to learn more of what you're accomplishing here. And in just a short amount of time, you'll be doing things you never thought you could do. And all these little secrets that I'm talking about now, we start opening the door for you. It's incredible how many people we've watched grow. I've watched this for over 30 years. So what I've done is I've taken a lot of fine art concepts and Renaissance concepts, and I blended them in with Bill Alexander. So you're going to want to check out, at least check it out. That's the main thing. Because you look at your talent. Why would we want to stop here? Don't we want to increase it? I would. So I would take that opportunity just to investigate it. You won't regret at least investigating it. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Okay, William, I'm going to have to say you are William the Conqueror. Now, let me explain why I said that. You really had some time doing mountains before, because you don't just do a mountain like that. That's a beautiful mountain, okay? And let's go like this. You have a beautiful sky, and you've kept it in the grays, and I'm looking at this, so you've done some painting before. I do want to point out a couple of things, though, that I want to help you with, okay? So always take what I'm saying as just help, you know? And I mean that in the how can I say this? I mean it more in a, like a educational concept, okay? You have your darks up here, and then you have your darks behind your mountain, your light here, that's bringing a lot of light, and you did something really great here. You have that nice light atmosphere. what else you did good was moving down on the painting, you left enough atmosphere underneath the mountain. That shows that you've done some stuff before. But I hope you understand my next point that I'm going to make, okay? So I don't know if you're thinking about this, but you did great on this. That mountain is moved over to the left. The tree I did deliberately moved over to the right slightly. It's almost in the middle. But why doesn't it look flat? Why does the painting have atmosphere? Well, one reason is because we're creating pyramidal shapes. So that gives us weight and balance, but we move that bigger pyramid over, and then we have this pyramid. So this one is in the middle, but this is where your real attention goes to, and behind the mountain. Okay, so you did a good job on this. So you kept it gray with the mountain. Now we move forward. And when we move forward, you did your tree in a pyramidal shape again. Now, one thing I can say is that you've lost some dark in this area. So you need a contrast. If we split the tree in half, and we like the mountain, if I take this part of the mountain in half, this is the darkest side of the biggest part of the mountain, the pyramid. So when I go over here to look at this tree, I don't have much of a dark side. I've got to have something down here. That's why you saw me. I think, William, I tapped it like 3 or 4 times to get that dark down there. And I tried to preserve it as much as I could. Okay? Because I don't want to light up the left side. I want to light up the right side of anything. I added a little bit of light here and then lost the light here because it's going farther away. But if you look at this dark, it helps to bring out the character of the trees because you're dropping in the dark. I'll tell you what, if you put the dark in here, the front trees are going to be really nice. They're going to start popping. So here's your pyramid. We have the dark down here and the light here. So most of the light should be on the right side of the tree, just like the mountain. And what you do to accomplish that is you stop working so much on it. You put a little light here and then you softly touch it back. Put a little light there and you softly touch it back. And then you just try to not load your brush too much and then softly walk it back. So when I look at this, you preserve some dark, but now we have a cutoff point where the light has gone further. So if you darken this down just a little bit, just take some blue, green, gray, or a little bit of darker green, tap it a little bit, knock it down, and that will force the light over here. And the same thing with this. Look at that amount of dark I have down here. And it's sort of in a blue dark because blue pushes everything away. So in reality, when everything's in a bluish color in the distance, in the mid-range, okay, or even violet, blue-gray, green-gray, violet-gray, everything pushes it far away. Just remember that. This is gray, so it's far away. Even in this area, I blued it down more, and that threw it further away. So by the time you get to the foreground, I hope you're hanging in there with all this. We have all this stuff explained really, really, really well in our master class. I mean, so well, we're accomplishing great artists. It's amazing, okay? So this bluish color, blues, violets, and everything, pushes this area even further away. So then when you get here and add in that orange on top of that dark brown, grabs your eye visually. And what it does is it pushes that further. So you've got the orange here, but not so much here. So if this orange was here brighter, this would even make what you have here, even though you didn't get all the blue-gray in there, you got some blue-green in there, but blue-gray-green, a little bit more, would push it back further. Your painting's a little difficult to explain because there's so many good elements in it, but I'm just trying to help you see the ones that are missing. So there's some tricky methods you can do with this. If you just grab a little bit of paint, don't use much, just kind of use a little bit on a smaller brush and tap in some bluish green. You could use ivory black, a little bit of phthalo blue in it, and knock it down and tap it in with almost no paint on your brush after this is dried. And you can shadow this down in these blue, gray, greens, and boom. But don't use sap green because that's just going to bring it forward again. So do it with the, if you look through my trees in the green, you can see the blue in it. That's what's making it, giving it, even here, look, that's what's giving it depth, William. Done a beautiful job all back here, but you need the blue, gray, green in here. Now, if I was Bill Alexander painting this and I was putting a big tree in the front, guess what colors I'd be using? Ivory black, burnt umber, Van Dyke brown. You could throw sap green in there and all of it would be very forward. You could have a big tree right here and it would all be in front of you. But you wouldn't want it blue, green, gray back here because that's your depth color. That's the color you need for depth. See, even this doesn't have a dark green in it. This tree is almost equal in size to this one. So we want to thicken this tree just a little bit to make it closer and then get that beautiful brown you put on there. I love your grass sticking up. I saw that. I love your grass sticking up. I see that you didn't really go much with the palette knife on it. Made it more grassy, that's fine. You know, I would take some of this white you have up here, thick white with yellow on it, and I just sparkle up this grass a little bit more. Darken this down so this comes forward. I like this path. I love what you've done here. You've done some amazing stuff in here. I mean, this is beautiful. It's all your own. I'm trying to help you with the concept of color and depth. That's really what I want. Because other than that, you've done a fantastic job. And you know, if you got some grass here, you might even want to pull a little bit of grass up like this, look, in the front, because it wouldn't be kind of like a consistency. Like, did somebody come by and mow this? That's what I'm saying. So you are William the Conqueror. A little bit of light blue gray in here and you'll be fine. It's a beautiful painting. I hope I helped you refine it. Refine it. I hope I helped you refine it. And if you do get a chance, go to our master class. Our master class is going to show you how to progressively move on and understand a lot of these concepts I'm talking about, and they get implemented in a stages. And then all of a sudden you're at a stage where you're doing things you thought you never could do. So check us out. At least check us out, William, because I'm going to call you William Conqueror the First. How's that sound? Thank you, William. Great job, George. This is beautiful. I love your concept. The whole idea is fantastic. I see some things I think that would help you do more interesting concepts in your painting. So let me explain that to you. This is all really nice. You've done some mountains. I can see that. That's really beautiful. I'm going to break your painting down into thirds. Top, middle, and bottom. Gray is far away. It always is. Gray, green, gray, blue, gray, violet, gray, brown, gray, anything. So now what I'm doing is I love what your artistic license. It's beautiful. I love it. But what I want to do is point out a few very important architectonical things that are in art. Okay. So first thing we do is we break down the thirds. Then what we do is look at the middle and we find that we've moved the mountain over. Fantastic move. You did it. Now you've got atmosphere under the mountain. The mountain's done really well. And your clouds are nice and airy. And you've got atmosphere here. I want you to look at this line of trees back here. What I want you to think about is something we all know in art is called the pyramids. And apparently, and when you're doing a Bill Alexander painting, I want you to constantly think of pyramids everywhere. So just keep that thought in the back of your mind, okay? So your mountain is a pyramid. If you draw a line down, do this, it's a pyramid that falls down to the distance. When you look at this tree, if you get this gray one just a little higher, you'll have weight and dimension to your painting on an architectonic level. So these are going across what looks like somebody, you know what I'm saying? They sheared it off level in a level way. But if you want to create focus and interest in it, if you bring this one up a little higher, it creates that pyramid and it gives everything here weight. And so then you could add a little bit of more of that foggy mist down below it because it actually creates a nice atmospheric area. So that's great. So this has got a pyramidal shape to it. I would actually lift this tree up in the background a little higher. The color's good. The green grays are good. So you've got some idea of what it is to keep everything distant. That's great. Now this area down here, if I look at it, I'm trying to make sense of where all the red is and stuff like that. So we need something here to bring out that other pyramidal concept. So here's what I would do. Because you're doing it in levels. I want you to think about this too. As long as I'm talking about this, the sky area from here down to the base of the pyramid of the mountain is also a reversed upside down pyramid. And then when you go from here down to the bottom from the mountain, it's another pyramidal shape. But you just got to see this stuff. So here's what I would do. I would get this up a little higher. I would put a yellow tree right here and do it like Bill would, make it pointy and make it tall and then down like that. That will just go so cool. Look at it. You'll go, here's that tree. It's in a pyramid up. Then this one's in a pyramid. Then that one's in a pyramid. You've got that one. You're good. You've got this one over here. That's good. And then you're good to go as far as this level goes and then down into the mid area. So what's creating my distance is another effect that I have. If you look at the bottom area, I drop the land down into what we call the last third area down here. Okay. So yours is up higher, almost reaching the middle by the time we get done. So you lose a little bit of depth there. Okay, George? So you get it with the color, but you can get more depth. And I'm going to explain this to you. You don't have to do it. I just want you to understand it. Okay? If you were to take your darks and bring them down a little lower and just preserve some of what you beautiful job you did here, and you brought it down, the darks, just the darker green, kind of blue, dark gray green, and you built up some more tree, bringing it down, you'll be peering into the picture more on like not in a slope, like you're down below, but you're looking at it from a level like this. This is your head, and you're looking in that way. Here, you're way sunk down into the picture and looking up at it. Does that make sense to you? It's just an architectonical thing here. Okay, so if I'm walking on this road, maybe I'm over here, my head's over here, and I walk over here. Now my body's a little small, and I'm walking down this way. On this, you're at a lower slope, and you're looking up at it. So it forces you to look up at the picture. I just want you to think about it. Now, there are paintings that are done this way, but if you wanted to, you could drop this tree down, drop the darks down, bring it down, same color you used back here, and just do that nice yellow tree and that gray one, and then add more of your reds and stuff back in a little bit and preserve this beautiful area. This is awesome. I love it. I mean, you didn't even have to do this one I did. You could change anything you want. But this would force your eye in a more level concept, and you would be like in business. I mean, it would look so much easier into the painting than looking up at the painting. So think about that for a minute. Now, as long as I said that, I've been telling everybody this. If you think of this third, okay, think of the Mona Lisa, head's up here, chest is here, body is down here. That's where her hands are lit up. So we have her in a pyramid, down like that. And then we have the mountains in the back that are pyramidal. And then we have upside down pyramids too, leading you towards her. So all the weight in the picture is where she's at. She's giving weight to the picture. If we just bring this down, then this is your Mona Lisa. Down, get it? You kind of squeezed off the Mona Lisa is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? If you bring it down a little further and then land up that light down here where her hands are, this is Mona Lisa in reverse. We're bringing the light in from the right. Then this would light up with a little more yellow and stuff, and we'd have a lot of good weight in the picture with that concept I'm giving you. So if this is my Mona Lisa, here's her head, her body comes down, she stops right about here, her hands are right there, and then we have pyramids in the back with the trees and all that, and the mountain could be back there further. Get the idea? And we teach all this, George, and a ton more in our master class. If you get a chance, go to our master class and at least ask questions about it, because you'd be amazed at what these levels can do as far as you learn these concepts, what they can do to your ability. You already have good painting ability, very good painting ability. What we want to see now is how you're able to take that further. How are we going to make you go further, George, and do even more fantastic work? That's what the master class opens the door for. I hope you're ready for it. At least check it out. It's worth it. Trust me. Beautiful job.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the reviews, and congratulations to the 5 projects that Tom reviewed. And isn't it amazing how, even if it's not your painting, there's so much to be learned from watching Tom review or watching a master artist with a trained eye review a painting. So right now, this part of the program, we're going to bring Tom on, and I'd like you to put any questions that you have into the comments, and Dawn will feed them to us, and we will just take some time and answer some questions. So Tom, welcome.
Welcome.
We're happy you're here.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to you. And if it was possible at all, we would all sing happy birthday to you right now.
I really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for saying happy birthday. I've had a wonderful day today. The big 7-0.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Tom. Well, thank you so much for being willing to share it with us tonight. That's a real treat for us to be able to come and spend your birthday with you. So thank you so much. So, Dawn, what questions do we have? If it's possible to put it up on the screen, that would be great. You know what? I want to show you this, Tom. Will the Conqueror says, "Thank you so much, Thomas. Sincerely, William the Conqueror."
William the Conqueror.
Yeah. Okay,
he conquered that painting, didn't he?
What?
He conquered that painting.
He sure did.
That's awesome.
All right. I am going to show this question. Regine from Germany. Regine, it's like 3 in the morning, I think, for you or something. It's pretty late.
Really?
It's middle of the night. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Regine says, "Hi, Tom. In my painting, I deliberately avoided putting blue into the lower middle, foreground, and big tree because I didn't know where it would come from." So, Tom, I know you aren't looking at her painting, but is there anything you could answer?
I get it. Okay, so, you know, if you look at a Rembrandt real closely, there's indications of blue in the shadowy areas where everything is deep, where it's dark, because here's why. Okay, can you guys see my hand? There it is. So what we have is light, we have a medium tone, we have a dark tone, we have a reflective light, that's the blue. And then we have the deep shadow. Now the blue is very, very subtle, and you only use about 1 to 2% to 3% blue in a dark area. That's what gives everything dimension. So if you leave it out, when it dries, it goes flat. So just having a little bit of that blue in there. Now, when I say blue, I don't necessarily mean it has to be a bright blue, but sometimes a bright blue can make it look really dramatic. But it could be a blue-gray, could be a blue-violet kind of gray, can be kind of an ultramarine bluish color, it could be very bright blue, depending on the time of day and what the lighting is. But you got to have a little bit of that blue down in there because it'll show another dimensional degree into the shadow. So sometimes if it's a little bit like in a Rembrandt, we've lost a lot of those colors over the years, and the blue looks very deep and it's hard to pick up on. So all you see is the light, the warm tones, and then you see the dark. But if you get close enough to a Rembrandt, which I was very fortunate to see at least 30 of them, so you can see that blue coming through, but it's very hard to see sometimes on film or on a picture, a photograph. But when you're standing in front of it, it's very obvious that the blue was in there much stronger. Did I answer that well?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom. All right, thank you. So
You're welcome.
Andy Caccioli, our good friend Andy, says, Tom, could you speak about your brush cleaning solution versus soap and water damaging natural bristle brushes?
Okay, soap and water and vegetable oil does not damage your natural bristle brushes because the oil is like a hair conditioning. So if you add oil to your solution, can you grab one of those for me, sweetheart? I'll show you, Andy. Hold on a second. We have a couple of formulas, you know, sometimes I invent other things, but basically what this is just a vegetable oil container. So we poured most of it out into another container. And what we have here, I think the best solution is just to go half oil and then a quarter soap, dishwashing soap, and then a quarter water. So when you shake it up, the oil is going to keep the bristles supple. And then when you pour it in the container and you wipe it off, and then you clean off the brush, those bristles will stay soft and nice and clean for you. So sometimes I have to clean twice, but hey, it's worth it. You know what I mean? So there you go.
To not have to use thinner, it definitely is worth it, isn't it?
And you're not going to smell all these thinners and stuff, but I do have another little trick for you. Okay, guys. So that's your bigger brushes if you want. But what if you're working and you want to keep your little small brushes clean? So what you can do, bear with me for a second, just get yourself a little container like this. Oh, I'll put it here, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. This is just vegetable oil. You can buy it at the store. So what you want to do is take the vegetable oil, put it in another little container, and you're just going to put that in there. Then you're going to go to the health food store, wherever you can get some lavender oil or even rosemary oil. And you just put this in here, like maybe 3 or 4 drops. You know, I was about 7. Uh-oh. Anyhow, so then you just close it up. I generally do this, watch. The rosemary oil is not as pleasant as the lavender. The lavender is really more pleasant. But if you shake it up like that, and then you want to clean a small brush, that's going to be your best bet when you do your small brushes. So what you'll do is you'll take a small brush. I was working on this a little earlier, having fun with it. So if you come down here, watch this. If I go into this, I've got that in there. I just dip in. I try not to go all the way to the bottom to dirty it up. And then I just come down to my paper towel, do it a couple of times. I had a lot of yellow in there. Can you see that coming out now? Can you see all that yellow coming out? Watch. I had a lot of yellow in there earlier. Wow, look at that. That's coming out of there. And if you notice, look at it, nice and soft. Can you see that? Look, nice and soft. And this will keep your brushes very supple because the oil, like in the water and soap and water, it's going to keep the brushes nice and supple. But guess what? I'm so happy I discovered this. This is a really good way to go, especially for your small brushes, because all of you guys are going to eventually get into small brushes. Now they use the lavender and the rosemary oil in regular oil in the Renaissance. That was something they used, and it works like mineral spirits. So you guys want to do that. You probably want to do that. There you go. That's not too bad, actually. And then when you put the rosemary in there, the oil kind of helps knock down the smell of the rosemary. But I got to tell you, the lavender is a lot more pleasant to smell. I do like the rosemary, though. You can do a combo. You could do lavender and rosemary. So just make sure you shake it up, get it integrated in there. Look, like that. Then you'll have a nice, good cleaning solution for your small brushes. Okay? How's that?
Right.
Did I answer that pretty well?
You did, Andy.
You know what, Lori, I always want to know if I answered something well, because Andy's not right in front of me right now, but if he was here in my studio, I'd say, how's that, Andy?
Yeah, well, Andy said in the chat, he said, thank you so much, Tom. So you did answer it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And I think, Tom, part of what makes that work that you've got to really be careful of is to make sure that you get it all wiped out, that you don't leave that solution in the bristles. So you've got to make sure you wipe it out really well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, on both solutions.
Yeah, if you want to, you can just go into pure oil and just like the Magic Clear and just hit it again, and you've got your brushes nice and supple.
Okay, thank you. All right, Bridget wants to know, Tom, can you show the pyramids on the windmill painting that's on your easel?
The window painting.
The windmill painting behind you.
Oh, the windmill. Okay, the windmill.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry I was so obsessed on all those pyramids, you guys, but it had to be said because they are everywhere. I'm looking at one of Bill's paintings right in front of me. It's everywhere. So, and it goes back to the Renaissance. So if we look at this particular windmill, it's higher, and even the little thing up here, the windmill, yeah. That's, if you think about it, there it is. Look, there's the pyramid right there, the blades. So if you run, look at this, even this thing going down here, kind of through nature, really, it kind of looks that way. See, look, there's your pyramid. See it? Right there. It's always going to be that case. Now, while you're looking at that, watch this. If this is further away, which is on a higher hill, literally, so we wouldn't want to bring this up here because then it would look off. Even if it was, and we brought this one up here, that would mean the pyramid's outside here. But since we have this and that, we're in good shape. And then we have this coming down and we're in good shape. And if you think about it, just in an abstract way, there's a little pyramid of light through here, and there's a pyramid of light coming through here, and sort of a widening of an abstract shape. Can you guys see that? You really got to look at pyramids in everything that you're painting and drawing. Here's a little example. So I was talking about Da Vinci before, but even the Pieta is locked in a pyramid, which is a statue. And all these things are just so old and Renaissance-like. I don't know if you guys can see that. But there you go, see? And that gives weight to everything. So the body, here it is. So then the body is heavy here. If everything's heavy up here too much, then there's no weight to it. It doesn't give it, a foundation. So think of Buckminster Fuller. He built that geodesic dome. I can't even say. You know what I mean. Well, all those pyramids gave it a lot of structure and a lot of weight to it. Geodesic dome. Golly, it's been a while since I thought of him.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Bridget said she didn't count the blades.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
It could be a tree where you just have branches going out, and then Yeah, that did it. If I didn't have the blades on there, I would have raised this up a little bit and that would have helped it more. I mean, think about that. But I knew they were coming.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Regine said, thank you so much, Tom, for explaining that to me about her question that she had about the blue. So,
cool.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? I'm looking in here. Come on, guys, we have Tom, and he's willing to stay on and answer your questions. And it's a real treat when you get to get questions answered from Tom. That's for sure. Well, I'll put this out.
I'm not looking directly at the camera, Lori. The way it's set up is, in order to get this in and get that in, I've got to be right there, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's okay, Tom. Kathy says, happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you.
Yep. And let's see if there's any more, if I missed any. If I missed one from up above, you guys, please put it in the comments, put it in again. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions. Come on, you guys.
How about I show you something that you wouldn't think of as a pyramid, but even Monet thought of all this. So I did a little, like a different version, but I just kind of threw it up here. But so I want you to see, if you look at this, pyramids aren't always just a big, perfect pyramid. This is a pyramid that's more elongated. So if you think about it, you just have it over to the right a little bit, and it's just an elongated pyramid like that. Doesn't always have to be like a perfect pyramid. Does that make sense? Or like, you know, like a giant triangle, you know?
Okay, so thank you, Tom.
Kind of a fun painting, you know, to do.
Yeah, that I love that. Love that.
I love painting Monet stuff. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So Kathy Hughes wants to know, how much time do you think you should be devoted to painting when starting out?
Okay, I have a formula that I invented. I don't even know if anybody's really, I'll try to explain this formula. And I got this from our sketching classes. I was having a bunch of people, old and young. We would start a sketching class, and we would, and this goes with painting, by the way. These two come together the same. So you're doing a sketch or a painting, and you're on it for an hour, maybe 2 hours. Should take a break, some breaks every now and then. But you're not finished with it because, you know, you're learning, right? So you do a little bit on Monday. If anybody's got a pencil, they probably should write this down. So you do like, let's say an hour on Monday. And then you take a break on Tuesday. Then you do an hour on Wednesday. Then you don't do Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. You just do Sunday. So you have 3 hours in 1 week. Okay, you've got a lot of breaks, but you have 3 hours. Now next week you do another 3 hours. Well, now what do you have? You have 6 hours of painting. That's not even a month yet. Well, then I hope you guys got a calculator. Then you do the next week, you've got another 3 hours. Now you're up to 9 hours. Well, then you do another 3 hours. Now what are you up to? You're up to 12. So you have 12 hours of painting in a month. What do you have in 6 months? Do you get where I'm going with this? You have a big, big number, 72 hours of painting. Now you do a year just at that method, on that method. You do a year and you're committed to that method. And you're done. At the end of the year, what do you have? 144 hours. Can you imagine how good you're going to get? But the problem with everything in life is commitment. and staying with it. That's a big deal, everybody. So when you start painting, it's the same with sketching or painting. When you commit to 1 hour, 3 times a week, you add it up in a year, that's a whole lot of painting. And when you think about it, go ahead and put 5 years on that. Now what do we have? We might need a calculator, but you get my point. So I want you to also think about when the young people went to the school in Italy and France and Germany and also the Netherlands, the Netherlands, when they started painting, they pretty much did what I'm telling you. They painted, they learned to grind their pigments, they painted, they also drew in charcoal. They were constantly doing something during the week. So by the time 10 years went by, they were phenomenal. So if they were 10 years old and they became 20 years old, the way that they did it, they just kept doing it. And the more time they put in, not necessarily going, I got to paint, I got to get painting, I met this guy one time. He was trying to knock out like 30 paintings that were the same thing without increasing his knowledge. And he was just doing the same old thing over and over and over, changing it up a little bit. But it was all like he rushed into it and he didn't even learn things about painting. He was just doing, and that lasted for about 5 years. And then he came to me and he said, I'm tired of wasting my time. I really want to learn something. A year later, he was doing unbelievable stuff. So it's just a matter of having some structure. Now, because I said that, everybody needs a teacher. That's just life. If you go to a great baker, let's say you get on a plane and you told your parents or your family, I'm going to learn to be a chef in France or whatever. Do you think you're going to walk in there and make 3 desserts and then you're fine? If you have that in your head, oh my gosh, that's not going to happen, guys. You have to get down, but you don't have to overthink it either. You don't have to overthink doing too much. You just have to go at it, be committed to a certain time, and do it 3-4 times a week, whatever you want. And that time will build up. And eventually it'll build up to where now here's the key. Here's the key, guys. You're going to love this. Everything you learn and every mistake you learn, you make a mountain of them. And all the good things that you learn, you can put in a suitcase. But everything that you learned that you made a giant mountain of, were all the things you are not going to do anymore because you know they didn't work. Then everything you did that's in the suitcase, you can pull out of your hat. But you need a mentor. You need somebody that can help you avoid making too much of a mountain. Let's cut that mountain down to a quarter size. Let's turn it into a little mound. Not a giant hill, not a mountain, not Mount Everest. Oh boy, Mount Everest is too much. You get what I'm saying? You need to get all the good things in a suitcase that you could just have in your head. It's a lot of good stuff, and you need somebody that can take you there. Because a lot of people will take you on hills and half mountains, and then you're back down and you have nothing in the suitcase but a few little things. My job, the way I've looked at it for all these years, is that I'm trying to get everybody to have all the knowledge in a suitcase. And I don't want you to have to go up that mountain that I went up, because listen, I know what the mountain looks like. I've been there. I've made more mistakes than you could ever think of in painting. But I learned from all that so that I could teach well. That's really why my heart is in it. Because I'm like, I don't want them going that far. They don't need to go there. That's ridiculous. How can we get you guys off the mountain and just have a suitcase? That's what I'm trying to do. All that knowledge in that suitcase is what you need. And I've got it. So I can give it to you. It's free from what I've learned. But, you know, if you're going to go to school, you got to learn something. You got to pay a little bit of a price. Try to do Kung Fu without even, it's not going to work. I keep bringing that. I love Kung Fu movies.
You know, Tom,
that's
an investment. It's an investment that they make
in
themselves. Yeah. You know, I saw today something on Facebook, I think, a comment that said, successful people, it's ironic that successful people have failed more than unsuccessful people have.
Oh yeah, I read something about Michael Jordan used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and shoot baskets constantly till he had to go to school, and he was just like doing it and making missing till he got really good at it. But like I was saying, you don't really, if you do the time thing I was talking about, you think about 5 years later at 3 hours a week only, it adds up, and you don't feel stressed. Oh, I'm just going to paint on Tuesday. I'm going to paint for 2 hours, 3 hours, but maybe two's enough. You know, you have fun. Then you don't do it till Friday. Then you want to do it on Sunday, or maybe you don't do it on Sunday. You just skip it. And you only do 2 hours. Well, you go a little longer, gathering more knowledge. But like I said, if you got a mentor, somebody's been there. Look at our master class. Come on, Lori.
Yeah, you know, Tom.
How many people are so successful with that?
Oh, I know, like hundreds and hundreds of what we've seen. Bridget just commented, she said, I just finished the beginning level for masterclass. I can't believe how much I learned from painting to painting. It's a fast track to learning what could take years to learn. You're right on, Bridget.
Thank you, Bridget, because that's everything I was talking about in that hill that I had to do to get it consolidated for you, Bridget. And everybody else if they want it.
Yeah. Andy Caccioli asked, he said, what courses do I have to take before the master class? And Andy, there are no classes. Master class is where you should start. The introductory master class is the starting point. So we have introductory master class, we have intermediate, we have advanced, and then we've got other programs beyond that when you get done with that. I promise you, if you wanted to learn from Tom, we have material for you to learn from him for years, and you'll grow to be just amazing, an amazing artist. So thank you, Andy. Let's see, we've got some more questions here, Tom. Bearcat wants to know any advice for first timers getting into oil painting besides joining our masterclass.
Well, that would be number one.
That would be your best. That's what we believe would be your best path.
That would be your best, because then you're fast tracking it. You're getting right to the point instead of trying to figure it all out on your own. That's a real hard struggle, trying to figure all this out on your. There's too much information, and you don't know what to do with the paint, how to thicken it, how to thin it, how to make it move properly. It's a complex thing, oil painting. It's not, you have your wet on wet technique. You can do some good stuff with that, but then you want to advance. So what do? Well, that's where things start to get more complicated, but they're not complicated if you understand them. And see, knowledge is power, right? And you got to understand that people have knowledge. So you have to listen to what they're saying and apply it. And before you know it, you know what you're doing. So that's what I do. I'm telling you how to get past the wet on wet technique and how to get into something that you can add more to and work with your painting. But even the wet on wet technique has other techniques in there that we haven't even seen yet. Yeah. So it's very complicated. Another thing too, and then this has to be mentioned tonight. If you're working with really terrible oils, try to go up a grade in your paint pigment. Try not to get the cheapest oils you can, because they're just not going to move on the canvas properly, and you're going to struggle really, really hard with them because they're full of fillers, and they're not going to stretch, and they're not going to blend well. and you're going to have a lot of issues with that. So maybe go up to a finer grade pigment. Alexander's paints are amazing. They're full of pigment, and they just flow onto the canvas everywhere you put it, and it structures well. So that's one thing you want to make sure of. That's number one, really, because if you're using really inexpensive tubes that are like that big and only cost you like $6, you're going to have issues in moving that paint around. Trust me, I've been there. That is never, like Lori said in one of our videos, if I couldn't get Lori's paint, I'd be grinding my own, and I know how to do it, right, Lori?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the truth. If Tom didn't like our paint, if he didn't think it was a good quality, he wouldn't use it. You know, Bridget said, Dawn, put that comment back up. That I want to read it to Tom. I'm not sure if he got to see it, but Bridget said something like, it's really hard to unlearn wrong. So, you know, that if you're just starting out, it's harder to unlearn wrong. So if you're just starting out, if you can get on the track, the best track right off the bat, you're going to be better off. You want to comment on that, Tom?
Yeah, we got to have the right building blocks. You know what I mean? If you're starting out and the building blocks are incorrect, then you've got to go back and relearn those. That's a very difficult thing to do. And sometimes your brain is saying, oh, I could make that work. But, you know, if it isn't working, what's that old saying? You know, if you keep doing something over and over and it's not working, that's a sign of insanity or something. I don't know. Something like that. So let's not go there. All right. Let's try to fast track everything, you guys. I just want you guys to be great painters. I don't want you going insane. That's not good.
Yeah. All right. Another question here. Oh, wait a minute. Where did it go? I think Dawn and I are both putting things up. I don't know who would win if we're in a, the acrylic Mick Harper says, may I ask what it is the shortest cure time you've gotten using Alexander Magic White?
Magic White or paints?
Magic White.
Oh, the shortest cure time to dry?
I think that's probably what he means.
Okay.
You can clarify that if you want, Mick.
Well, okay. Now, this is interesting. That's a very great question. Your drying time depends on weather, where you live. You can live in a humid area and the paint will dry a little slower. If you're in a really cold area, it can dry a little slower. If you're in a hot area, it can dry a lot faster. So there are ways to dry your white when your pigment's already mixed in it. You know, a sky, a mountain and everything. I just take a painting, put it outside on the patio, put a box over it, put a brick on it, and it bakes it. It's dry almost in 2 days. Because the heat's in there. And actually, now that I brought that up, a lot of the Renaissance painters in the Renaissance, they had these ovens. They looked like pizza ovens. And they took these giant paintings like Titian's, and they're, you know, the big ones you see in like in the Louvre, and they would lay those in the ovens it was on coals underneath, like a really low heat, very warm, not hot, but warm. And they'd come back 5 days later and the painting was dry completely. They were baking it. And they did the sun too. Rembrandt used to turn his paintings around during the summer and put them up against the window. So the light would come in through the sun and literally heat them, and they start drying up in a very quick amount of time. But don't forget this, as long as I've made that point, a lot of these painters didn't want their paintings to dry very quickly because they wanted to be able to take a color and model that color into another color when it was semi-damp. That gave them a lot more chiaroscuro. So they could get halftones and blend tones into each other. So there really wasn't like a real big issue for drying until the very end of the painting. And here's another interesting thing. A lot of times when they paint it, A lot of their paintings didn't have a lot of oil added to it while they were painting. So when they were done, the painting would look a little flat, almost like an acrylic, and it was an oil painting. But then they would put a clear varnish over it, sometimes using juniper and a little bit of the clear oil they produced, and they'd mix it together and put this clear varnish, and all of a sudden the colors would come alive again because it would refreshen the colors. Did I go too far, Lori?
No, I think that's great. Thank you so much.
Did I answer it though?
You did. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Does acrylic Mike think so?
What?
Does acrylic Mike think so?
Well, Mick, go ahead and comment.
Oh, Mick.
Make a comment in there and let us know if he answered it good enough, and we'll come back to it if not. Regine would like to see if it's possible to see Bill's original. And so I've got the photo. This is the photo that this was the reference photo that Tom used. And then here is the original painting that Tom did. Let's see. It's easier. This is not easy, you guys. So there's the original painting. So that's what everyone was painting from. And then this was the reference photo. So there you go, Regine. Let's see. Peggy has a very basic question. Why do we prime the back and the front of the canvas? I think you said something about light in the past class. So if you could talk about that, Tom, that would be great.
So when we prime the canvas with a very bright white, that creates a surface that's highly reflective. Now, if it was light and the sun was out, do you have a flashlight? Hold on a second. Watch this, guys. So this canvas has already been primed. Okay, so we're going to put the phone light behind it. Watch this. Let's see. Can I see that? Hold on.
Tom, just bring it to the right. There you go. Bring it more to the right.
Here, this. Okay, you guys should never see that. Now, when you see this, what you're seeing is that light is able to go through the pigment, which is translucent, and this has already been primed with an acrylic, a very white acrylic. But that should never happen. So if I coat the back, then any light that goes into the picture will bounce back to your, Peggy, will bounce back to your eyeball. So if the back is solid, and that's the reason why, does that one prime? Let me see how that works. Hold on a second, guys. That's a great question. This one's been primed, but I don't know how much I did it. I did a lot, though. Let's see. Ready? Let me see. Let me see the thing, Linda. Hold on. Okay, this one's been primed. Well, hopefully I did enough. If I didn't do enough, okay, I've look, guys, just so you know, I'm not making this up. Hold on a second. Where is that? Okay, there's the light. There. See? You can't see it. So that means that any light that's coming in is blocked. And where does it go? It has to go somewhere. Where's it going to go, Peggy?
Hey, Tom, you froze for just a minute, so I'd like you to show the light again in the back. Yeah.
All right, try it again. So here's the light above. Okay. And now I'm going to drop it below onto the back of this canvas. It's right about where her head is. You can't see it, huh? Because I primed the back. Now let me show you the back. Now, here's the back. I did it with some really inexpensive gesso. I keep forgetting the camera. I'm looking at the computer. The camera's over here. But see, you can see the white on the board too. So now when the light comes in, Peggy, it only has one place to go. And that one place it has to go is back to your eye. It's going to bounce back through the colors that it will pick. Oh, that's cool. You guys are great. I love you guys. Watch this. When the light comes in, okay, when the light comes in and the back is solid, here's the light. It hits that canvas, goes through the pigment, hits the white of the canvas, and picks up all the colors, the spectrum of colors coming back to your eye because it can't get through. Boom. And if you have really good pigment and clear oil, it's even more dramatic because it's refracting less of the yellow. Like I would never put this oil in my painting. Never. I'd only put the clear oil in because it's going to refract back clearly only with the color of the pigment. It's just a little bit of science, you guys, but it makes sense, doesn't it? See, look, this is going to distort. I'd clean my brushes with this and then dip it in here and clean it off better. But I wouldn't start painting with this because I'm going to darken the colors. They don't teach you art very well. Did I say that correctly? No one's teaching art very well. It's kind of upsetting, Peggy.
Peggy says that is awesome. Thank you.
Peggy, I'm very sorry that no one's explaining this stuff. It's a shame. It's really a shame. Okay.
So Tom, Rhonda wants to know, should we prime the back of a black canvas?
Yes, because if you're not sealing the back, it's going to make its way through the black even.
Okay.
I've done it. It doesn't matter. The acrylic is not, it's loose particles. It's going to go through. You've got to seal it really well. I think I might have done that back about 2 times. Now, here's what I want you to know. A lot of these great painters that painted great paintings early on, they painted on masonite and they painted on wood. And they primed. Now, this is cool. Listen to this, you guys. When they did it, they used 2 methods, depending on who got the pigments for them and how much they wanted to spend. But remember, the papacy and all those guys, they afforded all this. So there was a color, was the absence of color, is white. It was called cristallo. And it was a white glass that was very, very opaque and highly reflective. So they would purchase this cristallo, sand down their poplar wood, and then they would prime it with this white, beautiful white cristallo that was so opaque, it was unbelievable. But it was on wood, so you know where that light's going to go. Highly reflective. It just popped at you. So when they put their beautiful pure colors on there with clear oil, come on. I mean, it was like, I've seen these paintings, you guys. They're like, nobody's doing it anymore. They're unreal. But you got to go to these galleries across the world to see these. You've probably seen them if you've been there. You probably just think about it. You know, you're just saying, wow, they're great. But this is how they did it. Now, there was another thing they did. They used lead white. Now, we don't want to use lead white. Why? Because lead white is toxic. So, but here was the advantage of lead white on a nicely primed board that had plaster of Paris. When they primed it with the lead white and let it dry thoroughly, the lead white was double refractive crystals. In other words, they were hexagonal. So when the light came in, it picked up a double refractive spectrum. So all these colors were beaming out back at you in a double refractive spectrum, which is what the cristallo did. That's really living. But the problem is that the lead white was toxic. Titanium white has little nodules on it. So they're round and they're more in a metal. So they have a shininess to them, but they don't reflect the same way that those two did. So we compensate for that in our special. You're going to love this. In our Beyond class, we compensate for it. And we have ways of doing that, right, Lori?
We sure do.
So when you see bright colors on my painting, that's because Lori knows the secret. And then we apply it in our Beyond class. And it's really cool. And you're probably thinking, Tom, your paintings look really vivid, like they pop. Well, that's because we had to formulate stuff to make it look like the Renaissance.
So, Tom, that brings me the next question. Ange says, the windmill painting has a beautiful sunrise. What colors makes a bright sunrise?
Well, you have you wouldn't, well, I stuck with the yellows down here and the reds, but I started with the yellow and the alizarin first. And because in the area where it got a little closer, I started adding in more of the permanent red, but very small amount. You don't want to get too much. So if you look, there's a lot of that alizarin back here, but small amounts of the permanent red. Because if you get too much of that, then what you do is you lose the idea of depth. So you've got to keep the alizarin back there. That's a good red for distance, and it keeps it really nice and far. But you have to also realize that the colors are very strong and very vivid too. And I'm using clear oil, so that's why it looks so brilliant. You're only seeing this because the colors and the pigment that I'm using are really nice and strong and vivid. That's why it pops. And it does glow. It's glowing across the room. And that's what it's supposed to do.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Smiley says, yes, so true. I agree with Tom. She's in Australia and she's a big fan of the Alexander paint. So
great. That's good to hear. That must cost a lot to send them there. But she's in the master class, and you should see her paintings, Tom. You just actually, I think I've shown you some. Next question. Regine wants to know, she says, why is it important to add oil or other medium to a dry painting to work on it again? And which medium do you prefer? Well, in art, when you're trying to make corrections, and that's always going to happen because you want to adjust things, you need to oil out the painting. You take some of your oil and rub it all over the painting, and then you wipe it down so that it's nice and thin on there. And then you can go back and work on it anytime you want. Now, from everything I've researched, all the great painters in history used a very clear oil, basically clear as water. And they called it rock water. It had to be that clear. In other words, a heavy oil. I could show you this right now. Here's what I'll do. I have a dry painting. Thank you, Linda. All right. Can you help me remove this? And I want to make sure it's that. Okay, Regina. Yeah, Regina. Hold on, Regina. I'll just show you. Okay. This is fun. I just like teaching this stuff. So take that down. I have a painting that was starting to get worked on. Then I got distracted, like always, but not all the time. So this was the start of something. Can you see that, Lori?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So here I am, and I want to get ready to paint on this again. First thing I would do, if it's out in your garage or if it's somewhere you're not sure, you might want to take an art wipe and do this first. Go ahead and rub it down if it's dry, which it is. Okay, just get that off of there. Because you don't know, dust, look at that, look at that. That's been out in the, see that? Look at you guys, that's been out in the, that's not good. You got to clean your painting off. So if you have a canvas that's been sitting out, I think this one was out in a garage or something. All right, so I'm just going to clean it off for a minute. I just showed you something because we get a lot of dust around here, and I have to watch out for. I should keep most of my paintings in the studio. There you go. Watch this, guys. Take a paper towel after you do that. Get it nice and dry. Hold on. Sometimes when you're doing these demos, you're not always completely prepared. Now dry it down. All right. So you're getting all that off. It already looks better. I can see it myself. You never, oh, I don't care where your painting's at in the house. When your painting's dry, wipe it down. Because you never know. You can pick up dust and little things all over the place before you do any sealing of the canvas. Okay, so I have a dry brush here. All right, check your brush. Always check your brush. You pick up your, are we going to the palette shot? Okay. Okay, we're in the palette shot. So I have a dry 1-inch, and I'm going to take this brush, dip into my clear oil. This is clear. Look at that. It's like water. That's awesome. That's the best thing you guys will ever have in your life. And you don't need that much. You guys, if you're painting, all right, look, let's just compare. Which one do you want? Really, be honest. Where's Peggy at? Or, I mean, Regina. What do you think, Regina? Yes or no? This one or that? Which one do you want to put in there, Regina? This one or that one? I'm not going to put this in there. But you can clean with that and then wipe it off real well. So you come up here, and now this is what Tishan and everybody would do. They would coat the canvas, and this makes it workable. And the reason why this is so cool is because this clear oil has a dryer in it that adheres to the canvas. It actually, like glue, like if you're putting a crown on a tooth, it bonds it. So when you put your colors on, you're bonding right into the picture. Okay, so that's like James Bond. You know what I mean? You're bonding it. You're getting it in there. So now, after you get it on, sometimes you might get a little too much, and every great painter did this. Just grab a paper towel, wipe it down a little bit. You don't need a lot. You just need a film, like so. Okay? Now, I'll do something for you. I'll just go ahead and tint something for you. Let's see. See what brush I want to grab.
Hey, Tom, before you start on that, Linda, can you raise the camera up a little bit? Up? Are you going to go up on the mountains, Tom? Or are you going to go in front of it?
Yeah, I'm going to go up here.
Okay. Linda, if you could raise that close-up camera up to where he's going to be painting, then maybe I can add that shot to the screen. Thank you.
I'll show you two things you can do with this. It's been used in the Renaissance consistently. It's like it never ended. Maybe three things. Hold on. I hope the person in Germany's still up. Will she be able to watch this, Lori, later?
Well, she's still on.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So look, guys, this is a dry brush. Okay. I'm going to go get a little phthalo blue. I'm going to put it down here away from that oil so clear I didn't even see it. Man, here it is, just a little bit of blue, probably too much. Okay, you got to talk to yourself sometime. If you think you got too much and you don't want to waste it, just rub it off. Take some of it off like that. There you go. See that now I can control it. So now this is what we call tinting the canvas. And this was used a lot. I mean, this was used like over and over in history, especially in the Renaissance. So the light's coming from the left. So if I want to increase a little bit of depth and darkness in here, look at, this is like drawing with a pencil. I'm using a round brush, by the way. Now the beauty, Rembrandt did this, oh my gosh. I think Rembrandt may have been the most famous person for using this. Look at this, guys. So the canvas was dry. I'm doing new nuances, look. And I'm using just blue by itself. And I'm toning it. Now I could dry brush that a little bit. Can you see that better? Good. Now I can take a stiff, bright, dry brush. Let me use, let me see, I've got to grab something here. Okay, this one's dry. There's a whole lot of dry brushing in the Renaissance art, you guys. It never ends. It's like constant. Okay, so here's a dry brush. There's nothing on this. There's no paint, nothing. It's just dry. So I could take this dry brush and start kind of manipulating this a little bit, moving it down, softening it, like so. I can drag that out. I can enhance anything I want to make more defined. Bada boom, bada bing, right? Now, the beauty of this is also this. Watch, guys. I'll need a third brush for this. I think I'll just use this liner brush. And we're still on the palette? Okay, so I'm gonna use the liner brush and dip into a little bit of the magic white. This has been sitting out for about 3 days. The beauty of this is, look, what I'm doing is I'm teaching you how to go into a painting that's already dry. Now with the liner brush, using some white, and since that mountain's so far away, I can come up here and I can even paint on this now, even though it's wet, with opaque paint, and I can enhance things that I just want to work on. Look at that. I just love them. I wish I was in Germany. If you're still awake and in Germany, one of my goals in life was to go to Germany. My wife has lived in Germany, so I wanted to go there, but what are you going to do? So watch this. Bill was from Prussia. He was right there. Look how beautiful that. I should have finished this painting, but there was something I was showing. This was a demo, wasn't it? Yeah, that's why. Look at that. If you're in Germany, you recognize that. And if you're Bill, you would recognize that. Now, what about over here? Can I enhance that? Yeah, it's wet. Do I have to do the blue? No. But I can do another trick that's really cool. So here we go. One more thing before I do this trick. Okay, remember the blue I had on my brush? I'm going down to the palette. You might not be able to see this clear oil here, but it is here. Look how loose that is. I can take this clear oil, grab the blue, and also do this too. Look, turn it into a glaze. Now that's called a glaze. If I look at the palette, I can see it, but it's like a watercolor almost. And they did a lot of watercolor techniques in the Renaissance in oil. So this is thinned down. I can use this, and I can also, if this didn't have any oil on it, I can go paint directly like this right to the canvas. Just by knocking it down with the clear oil. If I didn't have the oil on here, I could do it that way too. So that's that's two methods. The oiling out was much easier because they can move faster. Do you understand what I just said? When you oil it all out, you just move along. You grab pigment, you put it up, you're just moving you're moving like moving and shaking. So watch this. So then you take a little bit of this, put it up here, enhance it, whatever you want to do. Make something new out of that. And look at the light pops out even more because you've got more dark back behind it. Now you should dry brush because dry brushing is it just softens things down, okay? And it just keeps it from looking maybe too dramatic, okay? So you just take this, kind of pat it a little bit, do a lot of patting, do this, and boom, you're done. Look at that. That was beautiful, wasn't it? See? Now there's another little trick that they think that maybe, and I think it's Leonardo that was really responsible for this. The fumato means like soft, smoky, translucent pigment that you can see through. So some people think that Titian invented it, but I think it was Leonardo. So it's called fumato. And when you do it on the palette, it's called volatoris because you're making the paint like a veil. Okay, so here's what you do. I'm going to grab a different brush. I'll just use this one. You take a dry, clean brush. You take white. and you just powder it up. Just kind of pat it gently. Now, if there's oil on the canvas, guys, if there's oil on the canvas, you're going to be thinning it a little bit more on the canvas, or you can add just a little bit more oil to it and make it thinner if you want to. You can make it more milky. I'll do the first process, okay? The first process is oil is on the canvas. So if I want this mountain to look further away and this closer, I can use this oil to my advantage by putting a little bit of white on here and just rolling this on here and making the mountain almost completely disappear and making things softer. You do this on a portrait, on someone's face. You'd have all these crevices on the face or blotches of color, and then you do a pigment over it. And that would resolve the issue of actually having to, it softens the face down, like powder on a woman's face, okay? Okay, do you see how that looks compared to that or that? Okay, the other thing you could do is take the same pigment like this. Let's go to the palette. And you take a little white, put it down here. See the options you have? But these are complicated things. Put a little bit of oil in it. Now you're making it milky, like milk. Here it's not as milky, but there is oil on the canvas. So that's why the oiling out was used so much, because it's fast and immediate. You can just go right to it. Here you have to keep mixing oil, and you know what I'm saying. So here's more milky. Now we do the same thing. Watch. That's kind of dark there. I'll just make this softer. Watch. A milky white, translucent white. Watch. Watch, guys. Look. Look at that. Can you see that? Over that dark. Now here's the beauty of all this, you guys. Sometimes you're looking at something, you go, man, oh man, you know what? I just don't like that. Well, because you're a genius, that's really what you need to become. You just look at that and you say to yourself, I'm just going to make something different. So you take your art wipe. Rembrandt would have used a rag. Leonardo would have used a rag with a little bit of oil in it. And then it would come right back to it. Ready? Is everybody up here? Watch this. And you just take it all off. Everything you did earlier is gone. And you start over. If you wiped off all the oil, if you want to go with oil and pigment, you can go up there. Or if you want to oil it out again and make it thin on there and work into it, you could restructure that mountain. So that would be like this. There's more oil here. I'll go get the oil. Watch. I'll put the oil back on because I wiped it off. And then I go back down here and I say, you know what, Tom? Maybe you want to grab this brush and just make another mountain. Now, remember, you want to keep this thought in mind. Every time you put that oil on, you want to definitely rub it in a little bit because you don't want it overly saturated because you're just reworking something. So here we go. Let's grab a little blue on this foliage brush. Put it down here and pat it out. And let's change the shape. That's a lot of blue, guys. I'll fix it. I get a little bit of rambunctious, don't I? A little bit of rambunctious? Well, whatever. That's way too much blue. Don't worry. I might be in control. Okay, I'll dry brush that. Watch. I'll put white on it. Oh, you know what I grabbed? That had a little bit of old phthalo green in it earlier. So now I got a green mountain. That's Hawaii. But anyhow, I'm just trying to show you the method. Let's work that out. Dry brush, dry. Look how that paint's moving. Look. It's almost like you're doing a watercolor in a sense. Now we just have to go in and do something with it. Let's take a little bit of white. I'm in the wrong blue. It needs to be more gray. See how gray is far away? Even blue by itself is not a good thing. You've got to gray it down. Here's white by itself because I need it more opaque. I'm just trying to show you how to work it. Look. So we'll just kind of do that. if you're trying to just make something. But really, I needed to blue gray it down to match the color. But look how that's going on, though. You can still work it. Now, if you're a really good artist, you can almost work your way out of this stuff. Especially if you didn't intend to do it that way. All right, look. Here's more white. I'm going to enhance it a little bit more. There you go. That a thicker white went on better. See that? Look. And I need a little fog under here, so I'll just go like this. I'll try to hide my mistake there with the color. And then you need a little bit of blue reflective color behind it. It's kind of cool, huh? Look, then you take your blue, put it in that white, and you get your little reflective color in there. But you see how I'm working on a dry canvas. There's some blue in there. I need some of that. Really need that dark up there. But you get the point, look. There you go. And look how I could just move it around and stuff. That's kind of fun. Not kind of fun, it is fun. What do you think of that? Restructured the whole thing. I know it's not the same. It is a pyramid, but it doesn't look right because look, now that's too low. This one needs to be more dominant because it's closer. But did I prove my point? I was just trying to help you understand it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom. That was a great demonstration. A lot of nice comments. Regine says, "Thank you so much. I am grateful for you taking that much effort and did such a detailed demo on my question." So thank you, Tom. Thank you for that. All right, so let's see. I think it's about time to wrap up. We do want Tom's, it's a couple hours later for Tom, so it's getting late. We do want him to go to bed on his birthday and not the next day. So I think we might wrap up. I think we have one more question.
Okay, we'll do it.
Let me find it here. I saw it earlier. Let's see. Okay. Bridget is asking how to make the straight line for structures.
Oh, okay. So if you're doing a building, you're going to want to do this. I'll just grab this. In the beginning, you're going to need a T-square. It's that simple. And what you're going to do is just take your T-square, whatever you're doing, hold it up there. Whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. If you're doing a building, here's a little bit of red and green. Let's see, let's put a little yellow in there, kind of make it brown. Let's see if I can, or grayish brown. Yeah, that'll work. So just hold it up and just find your building. Like if you have a building right here, it's like a Mediterranean scene, or even, you know what? Oh, I did this one of Germany. It was really nice. What was that place, Linda, with the giant lake there and the buildings were going back? That was awesome. What was that one? What's it called? Krausheim. Something like that. Anyhow, so you just do this. That's pretty straight. Now, over time, the more you do this, the better you get at just doing it yourself. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, I won't use that as a guide. Well, I'll go over here. Did I do it? That's pretty close, huh? It's pretty good. A little off. But I'd come back and fix it with a palette knife. I think I warped it a little bit right here. You see that though. I'll come in a little bit. So over time, your T-square is going to help you, but as you do more of these vertical lines or even horizontal lines, you're going to get better and better and better at it until it's going down a little bit on the left. Everybody's got this issue though, but the more you do, the better you're going to get, because mostly when you first start, everything's leaning a lot, and I'm off over here in this, like the painting you guys were doing. I said, I'm off on the side. So I'm not like right there, you know. So anyhow, that's not bad though. Let's try it that way. That's pretty good. That's not too bad. But over time, you'll get better at it. But rely on your T-square. It's just going to help you get there faster.
Yeah, you know, Tom has developed quite the talent to be able to paint clear off the sides so the cameras can get past him. You know, he doesn't have the privilege of being able to sit right in front of the canvas. And so it's amazing what he can do from being clear off at the side. So
it's an optical illusion sometimes. But if you remember, Lori, you were there when Bill was getting filmed. He was right in front of the camera. You just had different video, you know, different ways to get filming it. But he would stand in front of it, back off a little, and then, you know, look at this tree. You know, he was in front of it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that Bill did is he raised the canvas was really high. He's like painting up here. Yeah, and that was one of the ways we got around him.
Yeah,
but,
I know. I saw his head about here and the canvas up there. And then when he did his big demos for us, he was always like, why is it up there? Well, everybody needs to see it too, right?
Right. Yeah. All right. Okay, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight. So, Tom, thank you so much for all of for spending the evening with us. Thank you for the reviews.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Regine says, Tom, you and your wife are hearty invited to our home if you want to make a trip to Germany. That is
I'd be there in a heartbeat. Trust me.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's been a goal of mine.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'm going to wrap up with telling you I said there was going to be a special surprise at the end. And Tom so graciously has agreed that all of the paintings that were submitted that were not reviewed tonight are going to be reviewed. We're going to do, now we can't promise we'll do this every time, but we're going to do it again this time. So we are going to do a series of Zoom meetings. There's going to be 4 of them. And Tom is going to review live. You are going to be able to come onto the Zoom class, and Tom, you're going to watch Tom review these paintings live. And so, Dawn, if you can drop the link, we've got I think Dawn has the link for the first Zoom meeting. And if you click on that, you can go out and register to come to our first Zoom meeting. And that, I think I don't have the dates right in front of me. Let's see. Dawn, you made that card and then I didn't get it. So if just a minute, I will tell you when the first one is. The first one is going to be on next Tuesday. It's going to be at 11:30 Pacific time, I think. But anyway, we'll put a post in the community post. And then so Dawn's going to put a link in the chat for registering for the Zoom call, and also a link to get our daily tips. So you can get an email from us every day. And then also if you get into that, on that list, you will be notified of all of these great events that we have. So anyway, we hope you'll join us, and know that, Tom, we really appreciate your willingness to, it's going to be a lot of paintings, and I promise you, every one he does, you will learn more and more and more. So please come to those Zoom meetings, because it's so much information, just like you got tonight. So with that, Tom, Bridget says, thanks for celebrating your birthday with us, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome. And make sure you heat up the bratwurst.
Right. All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and sign off now. Tom, thanks again. Okay. It was a wonderful evening, and thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. We love you, Lori. We love all you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you so much. Okay. It's been a great one. I love this. So this has been my birthday present.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you. Well, you have one on the way. It's going to, you'll get it probably in a couple days, but you have a gift on your way, on the way. All right. So I see Dawn has put in the masterclass. Oh, yeah, that's the other one that I didn't mention. She's putting in a link to get on the masterclass wait list. It doesn't mean you're committed. It just means that you get to check it out like Tom
Right.
suggested. So if you want to get on the wait list, we only open that class up about quarterly. And so we are going to open it up at the end, towards the end of October. We will start, a new group will start in masterclass, and then it won't be opened up the rest of this year. So you're going to want to get in. I promise you, everything that Tom says about what you're going to learn in there and what others have said here, it's all true. We're watching people become great artists very, very quickly because of the proven method and process that Tom has developed and that Tom has successfully taught for. Tom, you know what? You did it for 20 years in a studio, and we've done it for almost 10 years. We're at like 8 years.
It's been that long?
It's been almost that long.
Oh,
It's been,
well, if you add that up,
years.
I was doing, Laura, if you add that up, it's been almost 35 or 40 years.
yeah, I've been
Wow.
doing it a long time. So
Okay,
anyway,
I'm 70 years old. I get it.
that's right.
I gotta keep reminding myself.
We've got
I
another.
feel like I'm 30.
Well, we've got another 30 years to paint here, Tom. So we'll
you.
just keep going. So I see there's a link for the daily tips if you want to get on our email list for that. There's a link for the masterclass wait list. And Dawn, are you going to put in? I'm going to add you to the stream so you can talk. Dawn, are you going to put the link to the first Zoom call in there? You can go ahead and unmute and talk to me if you want, Dawn. I think she's still here. I know she is. She's putting ahead and unmute and talk to me if you want.
I just sent an email out.
I think she's still here. I know she is.
I am.
There's a delay. Sorry.
I just sent an email out.
I think she's still here. I know she is.
It has the all four of the Zoom reviews are the same number. You just need to register once. All four of the Zoom reviews are the same number. You just need to register once.
Yeah, Dawn, you're gonna have to
check
turn
your emails
on your second computer. So anyway, she sent it. I'll go ahead and finish this up. Thanks, Dawn. She sent out an email to that, and we'll also put these links in the community post if you're not on our email list yet. I'd highly recommend you get on our email list because you never know when we're going to do something like this. So we'll let you know. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Tom, and everybody have a great night, a great morning in Germany, and a great evening, no matter where you are in the world. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you again. Oh, and by the way,
everybody. See you later.
Friday, that's tomorrow, we're getting together and Tom's going to be recording. He's going to be painting the next YouTube challenge. So
awesome. I already got the picture, Lori.
All right, great. It'll be out in a few months. And so watch for that too. But don't wait a few months to paint with Tom. Jump in on that masterclass in October. And I promise you, you'll be really glad you did. So we'll see everybody again.
Bye, guys.